Hello students, I am your biology teacher. Today we are going to discuss about chapter 2, reproduction in plant. In your surroundings, you may often see that some small plants grow under the same trees. In a pot of tulsi plant, numerous plants grow around the main plant. But the question is, how is it possible? It is possible only by the process of reproduction that takes place in plants. In this chapter, you will learn about the different types of reproduction, development, and growth in plants. You will also learn in brief about pollination and fertilization in flowering plants. So let's learn about what are the learning objectives of this chapter. The learning objectives are reproduction, asexual reproduction in plants, vegetative propagation, tissue culture method, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, pollination, artificial pollination, and fertilization. And look at that, what are the learning objectives again, and how that explained in this chapter. And we are going to that the all process one by one. And the first one is a reproduction. Look at that, what is the definition of reproduction and how many types of or how many basic modes of reproduction in plants. Reproduction, the process of giving rise to new individual organism from their parent, is called reproduction. I repeat, the process of giving rise to new individual organism from their parent is called reproduction. And there are two basic modes of reproduction in plants. And what are they? First one is sexual reproduction and second one is asexual reproduction. Two basic modes of reproduction in plants are sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. And asexual reproduction in plants. Now we are going to discuss about asexual reproduction in plants, and this is quite common in plants and it is the simplest method of reproduction. And this asexual reproduction in plants, we are going to discuss about some examples. Once again, asexual reproduction in plants, this is quite common in plants and it is the simplest method of reproduction. And this sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction, that is coming in the process types of reproduction in plants. These are the two types of reproduction in plants, and through the flow chart, look at that screen, and through this flow chart we are going to explain each and every points of this sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction in plants. Sexual reproduction means that requires two parents and involves male and female sex cells. Sexual reproduction means that is needed both parents, male and male sex cells and female sex cells also involves in this process of sexual reproduction. But in case of asexual reproduction, requires only one parent and there is no sex cells are involved in it. So asexual reproduction requires only one parent and no sex cells are involved. This is the difference between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Main difference, sexual reproduction means both parents are involved and both sex cells also involved there. But in asexual reproduction, only one parent, there is no sex cells are involved in this process. So again, this asexual reproduction is again going to divide in different process with that examples, and look at that what are the different process are there. Binary fission, budding, spore formation, fragmentation, regeneration, and vegetative propagation. I repeat, binary fission, budding, spore formation, fragmentation, regeneration, and vegetative propagations are the different kinds of asexual reproductions. And this vegetative propagation, last one, is again divided into, that means by roots, vegetative propagation by roots, vegetative propagation by underground stem, by leaves, and by tissue culture. These are the half part of or half topic of this chapter. So we are going to one by one. That means asexual reproduction again divided into with the examples of binary fission, budding, spore formation, etc. And the first one is binary fission, and look at that, what is the meaning of binary fission and which example is given in this chapter. Look at to the screen. Binary fission. Binary fission, what is the meaning of that? Means the division of the parent body into two equal halves. That equal halves we are calling as the daughter cells. That means daughter cells of what is which is mentioned here in this process, bacterium. That means bacterium is an example is given to the process of binary fission. Binary fission means the division of the parent body into two equal halves to produce daughter cells. And look at that binary fission in bacterium, how that is. First one, the parent bacteria is there, and the parent bacterium is a single celled, that means nucleus is present. And from this, the cells of this bacteria, nucleus is there. And the second, that means the process is started, binary fission is started. And the second one, that means the nucleus is started to elongates, and elongated nucleus is started to divide and going to both end of the cell. And finally that the cell is going to divide, and cell is going to divide across the middle and forming a constriction also there. And after that the daughter bacteria formed there. So this is the process of binary fission. Binary fission in bacterium is an example. Bacterium is an example of binary fission. That means the body of that parent body of bacteria is changed into two equal halves. That two equal halves are the daughter cells of a bacterium. Then next one, budding. This is also a type of asexual reproduction in plants. And budding, it means an outgrowth called bud. That means in the body of a parent body contain, that means the one outer growth is forming. That outer growth is called a bud that arises from the surface of the parent body, and finally that leads into an individual life. Example is budding in yeast. Look at the figure. Budding in yeast is showing there. Budding in yeast means the nucleus and vacuole is forming to the parent body, and this nucleus is started to divide. That means the bud is already formed there, the outer surface of the parent body, and a part of the nucleus and vacuole moves into the bud, and the new cells are formed already there. And this bud is before the bud breaks off already, the new cell is formed, and the cell contain nucleus and vacuoles. And finally this is the detaching from the body, that is detached from the parent cell, and two daughter yeasts are formed there. So this is the process of budding. Example is budding in yeast, and it means an outer growth called bud arises from the surface of the parent body and leads to an individual life. The next process is fragmentation. This is a type of asexual reproduction. This is another type of asexual reproduction. And the filamentous body. The body is filamentous, and example is given here, fragmentation in Spirogyra. And the filamentous body of Spirogyra, look at that, the body of Spirogyra is looking like a filament shape. And this filamentous shape of body or of lower plants, this Spirogyra is coming under the category of lower plant. That means the filamentous body of a Spirogyra is started to break up into two or more fragments, sometimes two, sometimes more than two. So anyway, that will come, and in the process of the filamentous body of lower plants like Spirogyra is breaks up into two or more fragments. Because of this is a filamentous body, the filamentous body of Spirogyra is started to break up into two or more fragments. So finally, two daughter filaments are forming. Sometimes more than two daughter filaments are forming there. This is a process of fragmentation. Next one, spore formation. Spore formation means some organisms like bacteria and fungus reproduce asexually by the process of spore formation. The figure is showing that the formation of spore here, and bread mold is given as an example here. And look at that, in sporangiophore is there, and in the bread mold sporangiophore is forming, and after that one spore sac is at the tip of that. That spore sac means the other name of that is sporangium, and from this spore sac what will come out, spores are coming out of that bread mold. So this process is called spore formation, and example of this is some organisms like bacteria and fungus reproduces asexually, and this process is known as spore formation. Next is the last one, that is vegetative propagation. And this vegetative propagation is also, we already know that some certain plants are reproduced sexually by their vegetative parts. We know that, you already know that. What are the vegetative parts of a plant? Means the vegetative parts of a plant, that means the stem, roots, leaves, and rather than by their seeds also coming there. So these are the vegetative parts of uh, plants. So some plants reproduce asexually by their vegetative parts. So this process is known as a vegetative propagation, and such methods of reproduction we can call that vegetative propagation. And this vegetative propagation is again divided into two types. And what are they? Natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. So this vegetative propagation is also coming in the category of asexual reproduction in plants. So once again, some plants are reproduced asexually by their vegetative parts. This is an important point of this. Vegetative parts. Vegetative parts means stem, roots, and leaves like that. So these parts are using for reproduce. So such methods of reproduction is called a vegetative propagation. And vegetative propagations are two types. And what are they? They are natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. Look at that one by one. What is natural vegetative propagation and what is artificial vegetative propagation? In natural vegetative propagation, plants are reproduced asexually. That you already know that. By their vegetative parts such as roots, stem, and leaves. Roots, stem, and leaves. But in artificial vegetative propagation means artificially producing. Artificially means new varieties of plants can be developed by different process like that, cutting, grafting, and layering. So that example is already given into the figure, grafting, layering, and like that. So this is an artificial vegetative propagation. Artificially we are creating, we are doing man-made, artificially vegetative propagation. Artificially vegetative parts are, that means the artificially propagation is going there, and with the help of that vegetative plants, vegetative parts of the plants, for example from the roots, from the stem part, from the leaves part, the new varieties of a plant is developing. So this is called artificial vegetative propagation. So now you can understand that what is the difference between natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. I repeat, in natural vegetative propagation, plants are reproduced asexually by their vegetative parts. such as root, stem, leaves, etc. But in artificial vegetative propagation, new varieties of plants can be developed by cutting, grafting, and layering. These are the process that we are doing, that human beings are doing this process. So this is the difference between natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. And this is another type of technique, that means tissue culture is also the diagrammatic representation of tissue culture method is showing to the figure on the screen. Look at the screen. What is that? It is a technique of raising new plants from a small portion of the plant tissue and over a culture of synthetic medium under a sterilized condition. Sterilized condition is needed. So tissue culture is also coming into the category of what? Artificial vegetative propagation. It is a technique. Tissue culture is a different. That is another part of that. It is a technique of rising or producing new plants from a small portion of the plant tissue. And look at that. The diagram is showing that over a culture or synthetic medium is also needed. Artificial medium is needed there, and this medium is also want to be in a sterilized condition without any germs or bacteria, or that means sterilized condition is needed. Then only the proper process will be success there. So look at that. What are the materials are required for this tissue culture? Test tube is there, then that means a culture test tube, then one explant is there. Explant means a plant part, that small portion of that plant, and a nutrient medium is also created in the test tube, and a cotton plug is also there. So these are the things, materials required for that. And the second diagram, that explant is changed into the form of callus, that means it started to grow within this medium, in this nutrient medium. Then after that, this callus changed into the form of plantlet, that means a small plant is started to grow inside. After that growth, we are going to separate from that medium, and that will grow as a new plant. That means we are used one explant, that means a small portion of the plant, and that is through the process, through the help of culture or synthetic medium under a sterilized condition, this explant or callus change into plantlets, and plantlet change into the form of new plant. This process or this technique is called a tissue culture. So this topic is over here. That means a sexual reproduction in plants is completed now. We have started with this from the flow chart. We already know that in that flow chart is already explained that sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction in plant. But we have chosen the second part, that means asexual reproduction in plant. And this asexual reproduction in plant also with many examples, that's binary fission in bacteria, budding, that means budding in yeast, fragmentation in spirogyra, and spore formation. Then after that, last one was vegetative propagation. And the vegetative propagation also, two types of vegetative propagation were there: natural vegetative propagation and artificial vegetative propagation. And this natural and artificial vegetative propagation also explained in with the different examples. And the topic is the asexual reproduction. Now this method is a tissue culture, and we know that this tissue culture method is having some lot of advantages. And this we will mention this also mentioned in the chapter method of tissue culture and advantages of tissue culture, and the detailed study that will be in higher classes. Now we are going to the second part of this, that means sexual reproduction in plants. And you know that what is the meaning of sexual reproduction in plants? Look at that, what is mentioned in the slide. Look at to the screen. A flower is the most attractive and colorful part of the plant, that you all of them know that. What is the most attractive and colorful part of the plant? Each and every plant, each and every flowering plant, that means flower is the most attractive and colorful part of that plant. And it bears, that means the flower bears both male and female reproductive organs. of the plant. That means a flower is the most attractive and colorful part of the plant, and this flower bears both male and female reproductive organs of the plant. And the male gamete is called pollen, and the female gamete is called egg or ovum. I repeat, we are discussing about sexual reproduction in plants. A flower is the most attractive and colorful part of the plant. And this flower bears both male and female reproductive organs of the plant. And the male gamete is called pollen, and the female gamete is called egg. And the other name of egg is ovum. And look at that, this figure 2.16 is showing parts of a typical flower. And this parts of a typical flower, different. Typical flower consists of 4 main parts, and the parts we are calling as whorls. A typical flower consists of 4 main whorls. That means 4 main parts. And the parts biologically we are calling as whorls, WHORLS, whorls. And look at that, what are the main 4 whorls of a typical flower? Look at the figure, and what are the things that we will discuss afterwards, the figure. And first one is calyx. Look at the figure, that calyx. And calyx, the other name of calyx is sepal. Sepal, you know that commonly we are calling that is sepals. Look at that, the lower part of the plant flower, calyx is mentioned there. Sepal, green in color. And second one is corolla. The other name of corolla is petal. We are commonly calling as petals. Look at that. This is a hibiscus flower, and petal is in red color. So the petals other name is corolla. And third one is androecium. Androecium. Anther and filament. Anther and filament together called androecium. That will come together. Anther and filament. And the fourth word is gynoecium. And look at that, what are the parts are included there in the diagram or in the figure? Stigma, style, ovary, and ovule. These together coming in the category of gynoecium. The other name of gynoecium is pistil. So I repeat, calyx, sepals, corolla, petals, androecium, stamens, gynoecium, pistil. And look at that, what are the definitions is given here about this 4 whorls. Calyx is the outermost whorl and which contain sepals. And corolla is the second whorl which contains petals. And what is the function of these petals? These petals produce nectar. Nectar, you know that? What is the meaning of nectar? A sweet substance is there, honey like substance, that's called nectar. So the petals are producing this nectar. The next one is androecium. Androecium consists of 2 main parts, that means stamens, and each stamen has 2 parts, and these 2 parts of stamen are anther and filament. Androecium consists of stamens, and each stamen has 2 parts, and the 2 parts are anther and filament. Then the last one is gynoecium. This consists of pistil, and each pistil consists of 3 parts, and that 3 parts are stigma, style, and ovary. So androecium and gynoecium, that means the male and female part is that. Male and female part of that. So these are the 4 whorls of a typical flower. I repeat, calyx or sepal, corolla or petal, androecium that contain anther and filament, gynoecium that contain stigma, style, and ovary. Now we are going to the process of pollination. This is the next topic of the chapter, pollination. And look at that. What is the definition of pollination and what are the two types of pollination? Pollination means the transfer of pollens from anther to stigma is called pollination. The transfer, that means moving from where to where? The transfer of pollens from anther to stigma. From anther to stigma is called pollination. Once again, in sexual reproduction, fusion of male and female gametes occur. That you already know that sexual reproduction means a fusion is also possible there. Fusion of male and female gametes occur. The transfer of pollens from anther to stigma is called pollination. And two types of pollination are there: self-pollination and cross-pollination. And look at that in this slide. Self-pollination diagram is there, a figure is there. Self-pollination means the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. Anther and stigma is showing to the figure. Look at that, yellow color and purple color is there. Yellow color, the transfer of pollen grains from the anther. Look at that, this process is starting from the anther and that is reaching into where? Reaching to the stigma of the same flower. Or another, this process is possible in another flower, but the same plant is needed. Or another flower of the same plant. So this is called a self-pollination. That means pollination is happening in the same plant only. But in the same plant, we know that sometimes the same plant is producing number of flowers in the one plant. And so that is possible. Self-pollination is possible in the same plant because of the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of same flower or another flower of the same plant. So this process is known as self-pollination. Next one is cross-pollination. Crossing, that means look at that word is showing the meaning of that. Cross-pollination. That means this to another different plants are involved in this process. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of different plant. This is the difference between these both definition, self-pollination and cross-pollination. Cross-pollination means the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of different plant. Then we can explain detail. This cross-pollination is brought about by various agents, and for this process, that means that from one plant to another plant is needed for this cross-pollination. So that can't able to go themselves. The pollen grains are not moving themselves because of some agent, some helps is needed for this process. So cross-pollination is brought about by various agents. And look at that, what are the helping agents of this cross-pollination in plants? Insects, wind, and water. Depending on the agents, these flowers of the plant show different characteristics also. We know that insects, butterflies, honeybees are coming to the plants and for collecting the nectar, and that is collecting the nectar from the flower, and the same honeybee or same insect, butterfly is going to the next plant and sitting into the next flower. So this is cross pollination is happening there. So that is acting as an agent. That insect is also acting as an agent. So wind is also helping. That pollen grains are light-weighted pollen grains are moving with the help of wind. And these pollen grains are moving from one flower and moving from that plant to another plant. Then water is also helping. In aquatic plants, this water is helping or water is acting as an agent. So flowers of the plant show different. According to this, the agents, the flowers also showing different characteristics that you will study in the class. After pollination, the flower gets fertilized. So this process is over now. In any way, the self-pollination or in cross-pollination, the flower gets fertilized now, and by the fusion is also there from male cell and female cell is fertilized. That means started that by the fusion of male and female cell, the process is called fertilization. After pollination, then what is the next step? Fertilization is happening, and after fertilization, the ovary develops into fruit, and while the ovule develops into seed. That the detailed study you will, in higher classes you will get a lot of detail about this. And this point, that means after fertilization, that means we are discussing the last point of this chapter, that means pollination. Pollination means two kinds of pollinations are there, that means self pollination and cross pollination. And in the after that pollination process, the flower gets fertilized, and that means the fusion of male and female cell, and that process is called fertilization. And the process of fertilization, then what will happen there? The flower, that flower change into fruit, and the fruit finally change into the seeds. Then after fertilization, the ovary develops into fruit, and the ovule develops into the seeds. This is the last topic of our chapter, and repeat this video many times and try to understand many these all the process, all the contents, all the learning objectives of the chapter. Okay, bye.